Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So we're going to go on a little rant today. I made my way down a YouTube rabbit hole of prepper pantry videos because I'm working on my pantry right now. I'm trying to make the ultimate prepper pantry. And I come across this person. I'm not going to say the YouTube channel because I don't want people to go over there and start, insulting the person or anything like that. This person is doing reaction videos to preppers showing off their pantries and what they've stockpiled and what they've hoarded. She does it in a very toxic and contrarian and very vulgar sort of way. It's funny that a lot of these hipster type people, and I used to be one, they have this sense that they're a moral authority and they try to project that onto everybody, and they don't even realize that they're being dictatorial about it. The dictatorial nature of these people, and especially this person in particular, I can tell that that person, if things came down to the wire, that would be the absolute worst kind of person, because that's the kind of person who is going to be there telling you how much you can eat. Okay, this is how much ration you get, who are angry as hell because they never prepared and it's your fault. And this is not a left-right thing, okay? Because there's people who do it on both sides. But in this particular case, it's one of those angry vegan types who's really carb deprived, ketogenic, maybe has some mental health issues going on. So again, I'm trying to reserve being too harsh in my criticisms because there's always a reason and a reason. But the fact is that the criticisms levied against preppers stockpiling food is absolutely illogical. And I'm going to tell you why. And you can use this as fuel if you ever get into a debate with somebody about this particular thing. Does anybody criticize Lil Wayne for having, I don't know, how many Bugattis does the guy have? Does anybody criticize Floyd Mayweather for having, how many cars does that guy have? Or Jay Leno? Or all these guys who have all of these material possessions, which took immense amounts of energy to make. Do you know how much energy it takes to make a Bugatti? A lot more than it takes to stockpile even 10 years worth of food. The amount of energy that it takes to create 10 years worth of food, and for you to stockpile that 10 years. Okay, 10 years is a lot of food. A lot of people really overestimate how long their food supplies are going to last. What I'm trying to say is that nobody faults people in our society for being materialistic on other fronts. But all of these people who, look at preppers with disdain and say, oh, they're just hoarding. For one, it's a projection because they're envious. And it's their way of rationalizing why they're not prepping. Oh, you should just rely on the grid like the rest of us, even though we've seen what's happened in the past year and a half, which really is just the pregame show to the big one. A lot of people are still in denial. Just because you have a pantry full of food doesn't mean that you're not investing in the future on other fronts. I know that myself and a lot of other people have a lot of investments in companies which are trying to do healthy things for the planet and for the people of the planet. But these same people, they'll never criticize people using their energy for other things or stockpiling energy in other ways. And remember, that's all you're doing. All food is energy. It took the combine a bit of energy to collect that grain and to grow it and to process it and to move it to a store and to get it into your home. You're basically just paying for energy, because so long as you have energy, so long as you have a power source, you can pump water, okay? You can power lights to grow things, to feed to livestock. So long as you have energy, you can pretty much do anything. So really, they're mad because you're taking energy, or you're stockpiling energy, and that's exactly what you're doing. And to me, there is absolutely no shame in that whatsoever. Just remember that if people try to criticize you for hoarding food, now I should just say there's a caveat to this. If you're very disorganized and it's messy and it's dirty and you're attracting bugs and pests, then yeah, that's bad. It's got to be organized. That said, if anybody tries to levy that criticism against you, just remind them of all of the people in the world who spend their money on incredibly frivolous things. I don't see people kicking down Drake's door because he's at every single Raptors game with 4 seats, even though the amount of energy it takes for that single act probably far exceeds what most preppers have in their pantry to power the arena, to pay the players, okay, to pay all the staff members, and just to build the whole arena itself, to broadcast it to the world. Never mind that, if you've taken an airplane a few times in your life, you've probably far exceeded what you will ever use or be able to stockpile physically in food. Now, these same people will say, oh, well, you're taking away from someone else. No, you're not, especially in times of abundance, because you want to be preparing before the mad dash happens, because it's going to happen. Okay, it's going to happen when disaster strikes. That's when everybody's going to funnel in to the stores, and the stores are going to be stripped bare. It's those people who prepared in advance that do that situation a favor, because they're not going to be one of those people who is standing in line at that point in time. Now, it might put some economic pressure, but not a noticeable amount. The amount of people who are actually doing this, I don't think from an economic standpoint you can argue that it's contributing to inflation in any way, shape, or form. The thing that is contributing to the inflation rate will be dealers and distributors who are buying up whatever they can right now because they're worried about a supply rut in the future. And then you have to consider also how wasteful we are as a society, how much food is actually wasted. So what I'm trying to say here at the end of the day is that if you live in a house which is on the other side of 3,000 square feet and you make in excess of 6 figures a year and you have several vehicles, you have a boat, you have a quad, not knocking that, all the more power to you. You do what you want with your money. If you have all those things, you far exceeded some guy who lives in a maybe 1,000 to 2,000 square foot home and it has maybe 2 years of food stockpiled that he has slowly accumulated. Not everybody who is doing this is going out and just buying it all in one lot. And you could make an argument from an economic standpoint that that could actually stimulate the economy in a lot of ways. Now, if it got to the point, okay, where we're actually starting to see shortages that are caused by our inability to produce food, that's another story. But by that time, you'll have been very happy that you didn't go and spend your money on season tickets to the Raptors. And instead, or if you did, you'd still be happy that you dropped a few $1,000s on a nice, healthy stockpile of food. There is absolutely no reason that people should be shamed or guilted for stockpiling food. That doesn't mean to say that you cannot be generous. That doesn't mean that generosity and keeping a stockpile of food are at odds with one another. Look, if I happen to perish after an SHTF scenario, I hope that that food can keep humanity alive just a little bit longer. Because in the end of the day, we're all together on this big rock and somebody's got to carry the torch. I don't want any food to go to waste. But again, I mean, if you really get into the physics aspect of it, energy is neither created nor destroyed. So food is not going to go to waste. And if you look at all of the wasteful spending, especially in government, I would venture to say that if you really cut out all of the fat in government spending, and not just government spending, private corporations too, if you really cut out all of the fat, I'm guessing that we waste like 50% of stuff. Look at all those cities in China. They're just ghost towns. They built them and nobody ever lived there. Imagine the billions of dollars invested in that. Think about the Dubai. You know how they had those islands that were in the shape of the world, and it was like this huge thing. I think they spent like $50 billion on it, and now they're all going back into the ocean because no one wants to live on it. So the idea of criticizing somebody, especially this day and age, especially after the last 18 months, you gotta be stupid or your moral superiority complex is just distorting your view of reality. Because for you to claim that a person who is stockpiling for their primary needs as opposed to somebody who is stockpiling useless, vain things just so they can flaunt them to other people, for you to be targeting the people who are, preparing for those primary needs in times of need and not directing your attention there, ask yourself how screwed up that is, especially when the amount of energy that it takes for the vain pursuits is exponentially more than the majority of preppers. I just did a prepping poll on the channel which asked what the net worth was, okay, of the people who watch this channel. I think it was 4% of people had a net worth over 5 million, and another 4% had a net worth between 1 million and 5 million. So basically, the top 10%, and then the rest of people had a net worth which was below $1 million. Now you got to remember, that's factoring in a house. If you have, and one of the categories was 100,000 to 1 million, and I believe that got like 14% or 20%. I think it was 20%. And then the rest was basically under $100,000. That's 70% of people who don't own a house. And you're actually going to go and shame those people who, proportionally speaking, use far less energy, could never, ever in a million years consume as much energy as Elon Musk probably consumes in a week. You're going to shame those people for looking at what's happening in the world and trying to get proactive, not only just to protect themselves, also so they're not a burden on the system at that period in time. And you're actually trying to criticize these people. Are we still at that point? Do we still have to justify preparedness to people? Because at this point in time, if you are not only relying on public services for support in a large-scale emergency, but also believing every single thing they say, when we know that the truth has tended to be quite diluted, and sometimes they're going to tell us what we need to hear, not what we want to hear, just so they don't create a panic, right? You're going to put your confidence in that to not be a prepper this day and age is almost irresponsible. And scrap that. It's irresponsible. It's not only intellectually irresponsible, but even in terms of supporting your nation. There was a time, victory gardens, where you did it not just for you, but you did it for your nation so that you weren't a drag on the supply chain, okay? So that was in wartime. And what I'm trying to say is that it's going to get to a point where we're there again, where the government is going to be encouraging people to be self-reliant. The government's going to say, hey, you guys want all these electric cars? The power grid's not going to be able to deal with it. You're going to have to start to put solar panels on your roof. We need solar panels on everybody's roofs. Okay, we're going to probably make these things called smart gardens, and everybody's going to have a smart garden in their backyard so that we can decentralize everything. And this is the future. And hey, if you haven't heard of a smart garden yet, maybe there's still time for you to go and market that idea. I'm sure somebody thought of it a few months ago and is now mass producing smart gardens that basically do all the work. All you have to do is push a button, because all you need is energy. If you have energy, if you have a robot, if you have solar panels on your roof, and that energy from the solar panels can power the robots to water the crops, to pick the crops, to plant the seeds, to yada, 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 that's all we got to do. And that's the future. If the really, really smart people don't let the power go to their heads, and if all of these moral morons don't completely try to destroy the few rights that they have left to be self-reliant, because a lot of people, it seems, would rather people have no right to have any more than 2 weeks worth of food in their home at all times, even though they don't understand the fact that when you buy wholesale, you're actually consuming less, because it's when you buy all the individual packets that they have to every day, or when they want to buy their fresh avocados from God knows where. I don't know where the hell those things are growing, but most places they're probably not growing there. So they're probably being trucked in. I found this series of videos that I watched incredibly repulsive. And I know it's just one person, but usually when you get people like that, it indicates that it's just the tip of the spear and that it's a sign of a deeper malady which is afflicting society right now. And it's this anti-self-preservation mindset, even though most of these people, they're all about self-love and self-discovery and self. Everything is self, except when it comes to actually, functioning independent of public support. Okay. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I look forward to the comment section. This is going to be a good one. But hey, let's try to keep it civil. And please don't go looking for channels to cause trouble. Don't stoop to these people's level. Because I can tell you what, most of these people who are like that, they deep down, they probably will become preppers at some point. Because I believe that revulsion is almost a projection of their own insecurity. And like I said, they're dictators at heart. And when things come down to the wire, if they ever are given any authority, they're going to be very dictatorial, and they're likely going to turn into the fat dictator while all of the subjects are skinny and starving because they know what's right for you, right? Anyways, guys, that's my rant for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, your one-stop shop for premium, high-quality, brand-name products that have been tried and tested by myself and other YouTube gear reviewers. My subscribers save 10% off by using the coupon code SURVIVALPREPPER. All one word in all caps.